Hello and welcome to Money Life. This is Sucheta Dalal. This week, we're going to talk about Reliance Capital and the decision taken by the Reserve Bank of India on 29th November, which is Monday, to finally supersede the board of this Anil Ambani run company. It has been placed under an administrator. And frankly, the overwhelming reaction in the market was not only was it a damn squib, but it was like at last. Finally, the RBI has stirred itself to act against this company. Why did it take so long? I think the answer is obvious. Anil Ambani is a powerful industrialist and he is politically connected. In fact, so slow has been the RBI action that our columnist V. Ranganathan, and if you want to read his column and an analysis of the numbers of Reliance Capital, do look at the Money Life website. He says the RBI moved with glacial speed. And if you look at the chronology of events, I'm sure you will agree. Now, RCL, I'm going to call it RCL, Reliance Capital Limited, is part of the Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group, which is shorthand for ADAG. It's been in deep trouble for a long time, certainly as long as infrastructure leasing and financial services, which all of you know because we've covered endlessly, had its board superseded in September 2018. Over the next 3 years, the RBI initiated similar action in Diwan Housing Finance Limited, which is DHFL, Yes Bank, which was taken over finally, Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, which also has found a buyer, and an administrator has been appointed to two SREI finance companies, SREI. This is a Calcutta-based group, but nothing on RCL. In fact, a report in the Business Standard suggests that RBI waited until RCL had a negative net worth of 7,610 crore and a negative capital ratio of 45%. These are numbers for 31st March 2021. It is only then that it summoned up the courage to act. In fact, Mr. Ranganathan in his article actually puts RCL's negative net worth at 15,912 crore. And since he's a finance person, look up those numbers, like I said. Now, let's look at a quick chronology on ADAG's financial troubles, which are a good indicator of how really slowly the RBI and all our regulators have acted in spite of overwhelming evidence. First, some broad numbers. RCL's consolidated debt was estimated at 26,887 crore. This is after the sale of a few companies, and the numbers as of March 2021. Its financial liabilities as a group are significantly higher. RCL itself has 20 subsidiaries, and even after many of them have been sold off, it continues to have some valuable assets. This includes two insurance companies, Reliance General Insurance, which is 100% held by it, and Reliance Nippon Life Insurance, which is 51% held by it. They're trying to find buyers, but I'll go over it one by one. So let's look at some quick highlights. At the end of April 2019, credit rating agencies had already downgraded ADAG companies, the finance companies especially, which are subsidiaries, Reliance Commercial Finance and Reliance Home Finance, to default grade. What happened? ADAG spokespersons quickly were out with aggressive statements to paper over these financial problems and suggest that they would find ways to come out of it. Both these entities were on the verge of an insolvency resolution because debenture holders moved for insolvency, and there was a sale that was almost finalized to Autumn Investments, investment in infrastructure. This is a possible acquirer. The sale may still go through, but there is a lot of litigation. Obviously, people are not waiting for the regulators to act. They have moved court, filed cases, and that has stopped the resolution in these two companies. Now, June 2019 was another major red flag because Pricewaterhouse said that it had resigned as statutory auditor of Reliance Capital as well as Reliance Home Finance. It cited unsatisfactory response to certain observations. The management under Anil Ambani again responded with typical aggression, publicly disagreed with PwC's findings. But the question is, what were the regulators doing? Instead of waking up, RBI continued to sleep for another 2.5 years. PwC, I know through my sources, was under tremendous pressure from ADHE at that time. And had the regulator done its job of calling them for a meeting and asking them what was going on, they would have had all the answers. But RBI either didn't do it or did it and has kept quiet, continued to keep quiet. That's the mystery. In the same month, June 2019, a report by the Risk Event Driven Distressed Intelligence, REDD. Now, if you want to read this, go back to the Money Life website and Google, and you will see that in June 2019, we had published excerpts of this report. It talked about how Reliance Capital and DHFL, both which collapsed and caused huge losses running into thousands of crores to investors, had used box companies to fudge their accounts and obfuscate lending to related entities. So they were essentially hiding the ownership and hiding the lending to their own group companies through what is called box companies, where three companies own each other. I'm not going to get into it because it's not relevant. Few of you would be interested, and I'm sure you'll Google the article. But here's a little box that we carried at that time, where RED has analyzed and said that the outstanding loans to these box companies were 137 billion or 13,700 crore then. What did RBI do? Continued to sleep. Now, to evade recovery action and to collect 700 million, we had another major thing that happened, which is that Anil Ambani had borrowed from in Reliance Communications from three Chinese lenders. Chinese lenders approached the London court. This was a little over 700 million US dollars or about 5,000 crore. He had given personal guarantees. So when the matter came up in the London court, Anil Ambani declared himself personally bankrupt. He said he was living off some jewelry and his wife's money. The telecom company's outstanding then was estimated at 76,000 crore. There was another Reliance company, Reliance Naval and Engineering, which was going to build patrolling vehicles for the vessels for the Indian Navy, also under bankruptcy. Now, all this these are larger companies. The chairman of the group declares himself personally bankrupt. What do you think the regulators ought to have done? Not just one regulator. Remember, we have 5 financial regulators. We're not talking about the RBI alone. SEBI has rules, corporate governance and listing rules. IRDA has rules. All of them have fit and proper norms, which they use selectively to act against certain promoters, but not when the promoters are powerful and politically connected. So, ignoring their own rules on fit and proper, they allowed Anil Ambani to remain chairman of the 2 insurance companies. He was a director on several other companies. SEBI's corporate governance rules, where every little minor violation is punished, including 1 day's delay in reporting something. But our regulators were too busy sleeping. In fact, SEBI has a specific division. Remember, Anil Ambani had paid 50 crores for a big scandal where, again, I have repeatedly held that in India, SEBI allowed him to get away by paying 50 crores. There was much more serious action in the UK. SEBI has a special division called Corporate Finance Investigation Department, which is supposed to specifically probe diversion of funds from listed entities. Now, there was a forensic audit of Reliance Home Finance, which revealed a diversion of nearly 8,000 crores to repay loans, statutory dues, corporate expenses of related group entities. This is part of 2 audits, a Grant Thornton audit, which found diversion of 12,000 crore, as well as a Brahmaya and Company audit in May 2020. Did the regulators do anything? No, continued to sleep. In fact, the Grant Thornton audit was only reported, I think, by Economic Times. It was all over the media. It was not unknown. It was not hidden. Why did it go into the public domain? Because, as always, ADAG aggressively denied that the forensic audit had found anything wrong with it at all. In fact, it said found no fraud, embezzlement, diversion, or siphoning of funds in the company. Such aggression from the company, constant defamation notices have effectively stopped the media, shut them up. Not just the media, even whistleblowers and investigators have hesitated to write. And when the regulators sleep, nothing gets exposed. Now let's come to September 2020. Indian bank classified its loan exposure to Reliance Home Finance as fraud. Now, if there was nothing found in the forensic audit, why would it classify it as fraud? No stringent action again. Before RBI's decision to appoint an administrator, RCL's debenture trustee had initiated recovery action. This remains mired in litigation. Obviously, several banks are not involved because banks just sold their loans at a loss, in fact, at 22 to 27 paisa per rupee to asset recovery companies. So who's stuck with the bad loans? 95% of them, the outstanding debt is held by debenture holders. So the debenture trustee is in court. Reliance Capital, in a statement, blames multiple litigations for stalling the resolution, which I referred to earlier. Now come to October 2021. The Indian Express was part of the Pandora Paper investigation, which is a global alliance of publications that have investigated the Pandora Papers. What did they find? Anil Ambani, who declared himself bankrupt, had companies, 18 offshore entities. He had borrowed and invested 1.8 billion between 2007 and 2010. Now, one could argue that this was 10 years ago. Remember, we have a draconian Prevention of Money Laundering Act. You would expect some investigation. What happened to this money? 10 years later, because nobody acts, these companies are bankrupt, but this not even talk about an investigation. In fact, soon after the ILFS board was thrown out, you would remember, there was a first ever question on regulatory responsibility from the Serious Frauds Investigation Office. In fact, it had suspected that there was someone in RBI which had ignored what happened in ILFS and wanted an investigation. Something similar should have been done over here. Nothing happened. Why should it have been done? Because remember, in Reliance Capital, things didn't stop with regulators not acting. Anil Ambani and his family reduced their shareholding from about 52% down to less than 2% over a period of time. In fact, by March 2020, he held less than 2%. Guess who was the largest shareholder? Life Insurance Corporation with 2.98. Now, when a promoter is selling his holding, why would an insurance major not sell its holding? Did someone stop it from selling? And if LIC is so bad at investment decisions, then remember the size of this behemoth organization and the fact that all of us trust it to invest insurance money. That would be a bigger problem if they say they weren't smart enough. The RBI action raises several questions, and most of these point to political protection, which has prevented regulators from acting. Same was said about ILFS and Partha, and the same question that SFIO asked about ILFS ought to be asked about RCL, and we need to investigate, the country needs to investigate. Why the silence? Why were our regulators like sleeping dogs, pretending that nothing was happening? Meanwhile, there was further confusion because there seemed to be some sort of green shoots as far as this group was concerned. Reliance Infrastructure won a 2,800 crore arbitration award from Delhi Metro Rail Corporation. So suddenly there was a feeling that Anil Ambani is making a comeback. All talk about the bankruptcy in London has gone. In fact, he was investing in infrastructure companies, and there was general impression created that ADAG would be allowed to slither out of its problems. Because of that, there is more pressure on the media to keep silent because of the vindictive manner in which this group files defamation notices all over the place. In fact, his family around this time, as recently as 3 months ago, announced that it's going to invest 400 crores in Reliance Infrastructure. This was reported by Business Standard. And it was going to bring in another 500 crore via creeping acquisition. No idea where this money was going to come from if the promoter had declared himself bankrupt and the Chinese companies were not letting go. In fact, the long history of inaction by the three regulators with regard to Anil Ambani and his companies shows that it's like they behave like the proverbial three monkeys. Keep repeatedly saying, only political pressure can make them do that. Or worse, because we're not even talking about the C word just now. Political pressure is most likely ties up the hands of our regulators and shuts them out. It again exemplifies a simple principle of regulatory action in India. Show me the person and I'll show you the rule. Who loses? Who pays the price? We, the investors, which includes lenders, because when lenders, especially PSU banks, lose money, it's again going out of our pockets. If you agree, share this video, subscribe to it. Thank you.